Having a girlfriend constantly accuse you of cheating can turn every day into being on parole. If you like a picture online, she notices. If you follow someone new, she notices. And as soon as your phone lights up, you can feel the heat of her breath on your neck, noticing. Because even though things are being framed as questions, you're being interrogated as if you are a suspect. Yes, it's easy to call her paranoid and toxic, but that's not really that helpful. Trust in our government, education, and medicine is on the floor. So maybe the better question is, why does the modern environment make it so hard to trust who we're with? Well, let's talk about it. Suspicion of cheating used to be mostly feels. You heard a rumor from a friend, or your partner came home later than they were supposed to. But that's not the landscape now. In addition to those things, we have data. You see a tagged picture of your partner at a bar that they didn't mention they were going to be at. Or he's following a woman with a curvaceous figure whose bio reads, "Here for a good time, not a long time." And what's worse is she's following him back. But like most of the internet, these things aren't the full context. They're little fragments of information, fodder for an anxious mind to create stories with. The unmentioned bar becomes the setting for a night of carnal wonders and infidelity. And before you even know it, there's an entire story being weaved out of traces of information. It feels like you got your conclusion based on evidence, but on closer inspection, it's more like a patchwork of fear. Because when somebody has been cheated on or naturally has an anxious disposition, they don't just look for what's true. They can end up looking for what seems like confirmation of their fears. And this is where we need to be careful about falling into a prosecutor role, because it's hard to feel loved when a prosecutor is ripping you to shreds.
Object! And when it went bad, you cut these guys loose! Your Honor, you had markers inside a phony transport! Your Honor, you doctored the logbook! Damn it, Captain! You coerced the doctor!
Consider yourself in contempt!
Colonel Jessup, did you order the code red?
There's a difference between saying, "Help me unpack what I'm feeling," and "I already know you're guilty, now prove that you're not." If you're feeling suspicious, ask whether you are actively trying to understand your partner better, or whether you are trying to confirm your fears. And if you're being accused, you shouldn't have to live with life under surveillance, but you also don't have to dismiss your partner's insecurity as drama, because often the roots of anxiety are coming from a real place. Look, while it's true that people are suspicious in their relationships because of personal trauma, we can't discount the change in our culture. We don't live in a high trust society anymore. It used to be when Sir Trevor McDonald spoke, the country listened. But increasingly, people don't trust the government, they don't trust the media, and they've given up on religion and our religious leaders. It's naive to believe that that pessimism that we feel societally stops at our relationship. Living in a world where everyone feels as if they're being manipulated and lied to creates an environment that lives off of suspicion. And that is at the heart of why modern relationships feel so emotionally pressurized. Dating apps are training people to believe that there's always someone else. Social media fuels comparison, and influencer culture normalizes serving up private moments for public consumption. Now imagine consuming all of that and then trying to build an honest and respectful relationship. It does something to people because they go into relationships thinking that cheating is normal and that we are a double tap away from being replaced. So when you walk through the door later than you said, and she asks, "Where have you been?" in a way that sounds like, "Who have you been with?" understand there's a whole lot going on there. It doesn't make the accusation fair, and it isn't permission to be manipulative and controlling, but it does add context to her suspicion. When I was a young buck, my dad used to tell me, "Mind your business and be careful who you discuss your relationship with." But one of the emerging problems in today's relationships is that we no longer have privacy. People with no partner judge you and your partner. You had a beautiful wedding day only to second guess it days after because someone else shot theirs on an island with a 4K drone. And as we get exposed to more images and opinions about what relationships should look like, the relationship stops being about a private bond. Let me be clear. I'll put ideas in front of you so you can think about your relationship and some of the stresses around modern dating and long-term relationship building. But I'm no guru. I have blind spots and biases. My takes might be insightful for some people and for others not so much. And that's fine, because it's you and your partner who know each other. Modern relationships are susceptible to being interrupted by outside noise. Why does that matter? Because your girlfriend might not just be reacting to you. She might be reacting to something that she heard from one of her friends. She may be implementing a relationship hack that she saw a bestseller say on her favorite podcast. When she levels her accusation, she's bringing an entire culture of suspicion into the conversation as well. More and more men are vulnerable to this too. They spend their week listening to podcasts that implant the idea that all women are untrustworthy. So both people come to this conversation tensed and primed. But every moment of doubt doesn't need a TikTok diagnosis. Much of the time, couples just need to get back to the basics. It's fun to have people comment on how good you look together as a couple, but trust isn't grown in public. It's the reliable acts done in private that build the spine of a meaningful relationship. That is how you build and cultivate an environment of trust. So look, if you've done something that has damaged trust, then you need to accept that and practice accountability. It's diabolical to protest that your partner is being overly emotional when you are doing exactly what she says you're doing. But if your girlfriend, fiance, or wife is attempting to punish you for someone else's betrayal, then that needs to be called out as well. I know what people think about Drake after he got smoked by Kendrick.
I know you're a master manipulator and habitual liar too, but don't tell no lie about me, and I won't tell truths about you.
But he wasn't lying when he said,
I cannot convince you that I love you for a living.
It's unreasonable. Look, at some point during this process, both people need to ask, are we here to build something together, or are we just going over old lines with a new person? So here it is. If your relationship is going to survive, the fear of being replaced, the endless opinions from outside voices, and the shadows of your past, you and your partner need to make the decision not just to be faithful, but to create a relationship where someone saying, no, I didn't cheat is enough. Real stability is about building an environment where there isn't a need for surveillance. And that's a responsibility for both parties. And that's the difference between a relationship built on fear and a relationship cultivated in trust. So if this relationship dynamic is something that you've experienced, let me ask you, do you think that social media has made relationships harder to build trust? Or do you think that suspicion has always been there and the internet has just made it easier to see? Let me know in the comments. I'm Sam. And until the next time, make some room.